You know what I find pretty interesting? Remember all the hype around 2012 and all that? And I always told myself, if that day comes and goes, you know, December 21st, 2012, end of the Mayan calendar. If that day comes and goes, but there's still incredibly, well, not necessarily large, just more volcanoes going off the normal, more earthquake, etc., then there's still concern. So this is interesting. Earthquake hits Yellowstone supervolcano magma chamber. Will a global catastrophe precede the KillShot? Now the KillShot, if any of you have ever been following Ed Dames and his remote viewing team and their capabilities, their dates of when they remote viewed and thought such and such would happen, different events, have known to have been off sometimes by several years. But it's funny because it's kind of like the webbot in a sense, where you better listen to what they're saying and expect that probably going to happen, just maybe not when they say it. So I got a little update from, you know, a little email thing. A lot has been happening lately to indicate the KillShot event remote viewers have been warning you about is closer than ever. Right after Major Ed Dames' Facebook page posted news regarding how scientists are now aware that the sun is capable of a super flare, which would be 1,000 times more powerful than anything we've ever seen in human history. News broke on May 18th, 2005, that an earthquake struck the magma chamber of Yellowstone National Park. So what's there to worry about? Yellowstone is actually one of a handful of active supervolcanoes around the world and is considered the most unstable. Researchers believe that when Yellowstone blows, it will plunge the United States into the Dark Ages, which could occur at any time, possibly being triggered by an earthquake, in which researchers admit we are overdue for, especially in California. How all this plays into the KillShot scenario is associated with the events that remote viewers foresee surrounding the KillShot itself. As if a perfect storm of global catastrophe, unprecedented flares, wars, and political changes are coming to a head. As Major Ed Dames has stated for years, collapsing power grids will be the least of your concerns when the entire KillShot scenario begins. Major Ed Dames has much to reveal on the next Coast to Coast AM radio show, as well as a huge announcement to make soon that will reveal more than you could possibly imagine. But for now, find out everything you can about these upcoming life-changing events at thekillshot.com. So any of my subscribers that are Coast to Coast AM subscribers, keep your ears out for this interview and see when he's coming back on Coast to Coast AM. And if you can somehow get that, I want to hear it. Hear what he has to say about that. Because our powers that be know what he's talking about is probably more accurate than any of you think. And again, if they can put stuff in the movies that's going to happen, think about this. I'm just gonna, out of many things I could bring up right now, I'm gonna bring up one. The BP oil spill disaster. The movie The Knowing with Nicolas Cage. Boy, what an interesting title for that movie, wasn't it? The Knowing. Deciphering these codes, these hidden codes, and finding events as right before they happen, you know, ultimately. Which the movie ends with a big, like, KillShot event with meteors and things raining down on Earth. So, the one thing is that BP oil spill. How could they put in that movie an image almost so close to being identical to the real thing that happened after the movie came out of this oil rig on fire in the Gulf of Mexico? They could have done anything. They could have put any picture or scene up that they wanted to. And they chose that one, which looks, I'm telling you, so close to the real thing, it was shocking. So, there's two scenarios here of how the powers that be know these things in advance. And I'm going to tell you, there's only two. One of them you're going to think is not possible. But there's still only two, whether you like it or not. Choice A, they're causing these events to happen. They know they're going to do it for whatever reason that they have. Why they would do that to BP, which is one of the club members, doesn't make sense now, does it? So, if it's not, that's choice A. They know what's going to happen because they're causing it to happen. And I know that does happen, for sure. But choice B is they have, the club, thanks to our hard-earned tax dollars going to these secret black projects, technology, let's just say, that can see the future. Alright? I know you're not going to like the way that sounds, but just bear with me, because it's the only other choice. It's the only other one, whether you like it or not, whether it even is true or not. The first choice seems more feasible now, doesn't it? But that second choice has to be mentioned, which is they know these things, certain things, whatever going to happen, because they have an ability to see into the future. And there have been absolutely positively top secret projects in the past that their goal was to do such a thing. And I remember Bob Lazar talking about some of these projects that he was just barely made aware of when he spent his very limited amount of time at Groom Lake S4, which is, of course, a section or an area close to Area 51, back in freaking like 1990. In I think it was called like Operation Looking Glass or Operation Spyglass, where they were trying to use this technology, like, alien technology, whatever, to bend space and time, etc., to see if they could see into the future. It was, in fact, an operation, a project. Again, regardless of whether it was successful or not, it's another story. I don't know that. Neither does he. But that means our government's been trying. And if you, as they say, you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. And if you've got an unlimited budget and getting the top scientists in the world to work for you, well, you stand a little bit better chance of accomplishing the unaccomplishable. So if we have some technology that can see future events, that would easily explain how such a thing like the BP oil disaster could be seen put in a movie for fun because they saw it coming. It would also explain why they put out this new movie coming, I think, next month, San Andreas, starring The Rock, where it's all about nothing but a devastating earthquake on the San Andreas Fault in California. And of course, one of those scenes, my favorite one because of the fact that we think this is going to happen in the future, is the Hoover Dam being destroyed because of the earthquake, of course. And it still remains to be seen how it happens in real life. If that dam goes in real life, now naturally I would think it'd probably be because of an earthquake. What I'm hoping I don't see or hear is that, terrorists, ISIS and ISIL planted something, so we're somehow able to scuba dive underwater and in the rushing dam and place these, bombs and blow them off, and yeah, right. Really hope it doesn't go that way. Matter of fact, I don't want it to go either way. I don't want that to happen at all. But they're letting us know some events are coming your way. We already had the movie 2012. We had the Ice Age movie, another flooding movie. We're now getting the San Andreas movie. Again, we had Nicolas Cage's movie with the ending of it, you know, devastating for humanity. And these aliens come and land and take his children away to keep them safe. Like, what the? Okay. Earthquake activity is still up. Volcanic activity is way up. And all I can think about when I hear all this, aside from what I just told you, is another interesting video I saw on YouTube a long time ago, interview with Dr. La Violette from Project Camelot. And this guy's got a couple different PhDs out there. I mean, this guy's, he's the real deal. And he said, you know, he's mentioned some of the theories he had in the 80s that were laughed at by mainstream scientists that are now common knowledge. To give you an idea of this guy's credibility. And he came up with, I'm assuming it's his theory, because I never heard it anywhere else, and he calls it superwave theory, where the center of our galaxy, Milky Way galaxy, pulses these super waves, if you will, of some kind of gravitational force. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been too long. I'll have to go watch the video again. But, you know, our solar system does a wave like this as it goes around the Milky Way. So it's a sine wave. And every time it lines up with the center, it's like, you know, 13,000 or 11,000 years or something. I think it's 13,000. So it's half of the 26,000 year full cycle of the solstice, which is, or the solar cycle. I'm trying to think, what's it called? Is it the solstice? Where we go through all the ages, right? The 12 ages. Each age lasts 2,160 years times 12, whatever. 26,000 years. We go through all the ages. Well, half of that we're gonna hit the center point, and then on the way up we hit the center point, and way down we hit the center point. That's 13,000 years roughly. So his theory is that when this happens, there's some devastation on Earth. And his theory, he thinks, is why this pulse from the center of the galaxy hits us, the planet, the solar system, the whole solar system, you know, all of our planets. And it would be preceded by volcanic and earthquake activity before the superwave would actually hit from outer space. And he said he was able to study ice core samples, like leftover ice core samples that other scientists were studying. I don't know if it was the North Pole or the South Pole, I don't remember. But he said he had more than enough to study. And found, sure enough, there's these cycles, and there's 3 different cycles within that ice core sample over and over and over and over again. And by carbon dating, and again spacing out the cycles, you can determine how many years have gone by. And he said, it was like, I gotta try to remember which one of them was like the Mayan calendar cycle, by the way. It was like 5,100 something years. The next one was that 13,000 year, whatever it was. And then the next one was the full one, the 26,000 year. Something like that. And he said the interesting thing was that every now and then you'd see a lot of this, like, what, I don't know if it's like space dust or something from outer space, that he could barium or some weird, I say barium, I don't remember what he said it was, that's in there. And he says, we know this comes from space. So we know that, you know, that's where this is coming from, and we see it all the time. But in this ice core sample, we're noticing, again, these 3 cycles over and over and over again. In any of these, in all of these ice core samples, there's this heavy-duty amount of it. Stakes out like a sore thumb. And every now and then within those cycles, one of them will stick out even more. There's a lot more. And he said, well, was it, you know, I was trying to figure out, was it the 5,000 year, the 13, or the 26,000, which one? And there was no rhyme or reason. It was just some random one of those 3 cycles. It would be worse than the other times as far as the amount of that stuff that was in it. So she asked him, well, because you now can see these cycles, when's the next one? He said, well, the technology we have, due to the limitations in it, there's about a 400-year window of error factor. It could be off by 400 years. Okay, so where are we looking right now? Any day. We're due for one right now, plus or minus the 400 years, because of the error cycle. Now, she's doing this interview before 2012, a few years, I think, 2-3 years before 2012. So naturally, her question was, well, I'm sure you've heard of the Mayan calendar in 2012. Yes, I have. Is that a coincidence that the cycle's due and this thing's ending? He said, I can't really, from what I remember, I think he said, I can't really speak on that, but I can tell you we're due for one right now. So 2012 is come and gone, but earthquake activity is up, volcanic activity is up, and continuing to go up. Is there going to be a kill shot, as Ed Dames calls it? And what he is referring to as the kill shot is a massive, unprecedented solar flare to the likes of which we've never seen. Popping off like they always do off the sun. Sometimes they're earthbound. This one will be earthbound in some way, shape, or form, because even if it's not, it'll be so powerful it won't matter. It's still going to affect Earth. That is what he was calling the kill shot. So anybody who's watching or listening to that Coast to Coast AM show, when he goes on there, hit your boy up, JSnap4, to let me know. You're better off using my website, Realist News or freespeak.net. One of those two to just contact me. Hit the contact form button and send me an email so I can get it. Because I get so many comments and things on YouTube, I can almost never keep up and reply and do stuff on YouTube. There's just too much. So, just wanted to bring that to your attention today. Take care.